how you can build your mind, how you can build your position in this economic turmoil that we find ourselves in. This is how you can build just to know what it is to run, to meet, to network, but definitely empower ourselves. This evening, I have a supporter, an author, a true supporter of community development, community empowerment, economic development, a visionary, an author who has put together literature for those entrepreneurs who need to understand how to run, manage their money and their business. For those who are in Atlanta and many other cities across the country, you might be filling out information about a grant or a loan and need to understand the process, the paperwork, and much of it is rudimentary, but not to someone who might be just starting their business for the first year or going into the second year and really don't have a relationship with their accountant, don't have a board. If you don't have any of those things, there is Invest Atlanta, like there is many other economic development groups. But there is one gentleman who has seen and done so much to make the possibility of growing and getting a loan and getting a grant possible in the lives. I want to say thank you so that if nothing else, he's heard it from me. He's educated me. I can not tell you how many times he has said, Munson, what they want does not change. What you have to have does not change. So, good evening, Lonnie. How are you?
Hey, Munson, doing fine. How you doing?
Man, anytime. Salam alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Anytime I can hang out with my brethren and literally talk as an entrepreneur with someone who I know nurtures and inspires and truly gives a fair shot. And if nothing else, you're gonna get a fair shot.
That's
And
true.
The many of our community members don't understand you don't have a seat. But I think in Atlanta, and no, I know, not think, I know in Atlanta there is at least a fair shot and a seat at the table for those who will at least prepare yourself. And that's big and small. Um, what would you say the first thing that a person needed to have, if there were three or four things that they needed to always get prepared when they were going to at least apply for a loan or a grant?
Well, actually, Munson, I'm glad you asked that question because the first thing they need to understand is what are the requirements to get the loan or get the grant. Yeah, you'd be surprised how people don't even know about that, and they go into it and they find out, oh, I didn't know I needed that too. You know what I mean? So the first thing really is to find out I call them the rules of the financial game. And there are rules, there are statutes, there are limitations, there are things set up that allow you to actually access it. And if you don't, you can be in a very negative situation. So I would say number one, get to know exactly what you're applying for, and which kind of is a leeway here for me to talk about a little bit about the Resurgence Grant. But I also want to talk about our other programs. We have two new COVID-19 programs being launched in September, as a matter of fact, for our listening audience today. But let me say this about the Resurgence. The Resurgence Grant Fund was launched by Invest Atlanta on August the 10th, with a cutoff date of August 31st. So it's only a few days left to get it in. And I will tell people this, the most important thing, I cannot emphasize this enough, is that when you go on the Invest Atlanta website at www.investatlanta.com, it opens up, and very over to the right, you'll see information about the Resurgence Grant Fund, right? And a lot of people get going there and they get started with the application process, but they stop. They don't understand it's about 8 or 10 items that need to be filled out, submitted to our office to begin the process. So you've got hundreds of people, I'm literally saying hundreds of people who go to the site and they don't finish. Now, everybody has their own reason, Munson, for not finishing. I won't go into that situation, but the key is to start what you finish. And I cannot overemphasize that, the importance of no matter what you're doing in life, the key is to finish what you start. So the people that go to that site, they need to think about, once they learn what needs to be submitted, they need to know about, number one, I need to go ahead and get whatever is required of me together in order to actually apply and hit that submit button. Because nothing you've done, if you might start this whole process on August the 10th, and now we're on, what's the date, the 25th? And so you've been working on for 15 days, and a little bit here, a little bit there. But nothing counts at all until you submit what you're supposed to submit. You're just going through an exercise. All right. And that's why that's the most important thing. Even with my loan programs, I talk to hundreds and thousands of people over the course of a year or two. And it's the same thing. And they want to do it, but they never take the next step. They never take the step in terms of actually applying for the financing. Now, a couple of things I've mentioned this 2 months, and I think you already know this. Back in March the 20th, Invest Atlanta launched the first, probably in the nation, I know definitely in this region, COVID-19 revolving loan fund to assist the businesses in the city of Atlanta. Matter of fact, we launched our program before the CARES Act was approved. And I'm not going to say this, but I say a little bit of it. It's kind of an interesting fact that a lot of things we put together back at during that time are now being instituted by the federal government, the SBA, and a lot of other cities and counties who reached out to us when everything was just getting ready to happen. But our mayor, Keisha Lance Bottoms, she wanted us to get out as quick as possible to help the needy businesses in the city of Atlanta fight what was becoming a serious pandemic. And we did that. And, and after doing that, we went on to still try to figure out ways to assist businesses in Atlanta. So we were awarded an additional $760,000 in loan money from the Economic Development Administration. They actually gave it to us. What they did, they looked at their portfolio and they identified some of the top revolving loan funds in the country. And they reached out to me and Invest Atlanta and said, we would like to give you this money. All you have to do is put an application in. I said, how long do I have to get it into you? So we went ahead and did that. And we anticipate, the mayor just signed the information related to the contractual part of what was necessary to move forward with getting the financing. So we anticipate that program coming on sometime in the month of September. And that program is called the EDA is called the Atlanta Cares Revolving Loan Fund. I thought that was a very appropriate name to say Atlanta does care. And it's funny, Munson, I tell people all day long, I said, well, really the only thing I've been doing for 40 years, Munson, is really giving you your money back. That's all I've been doing. Because it's your federal tax money, in some cases, your city tax money, and we take the tax money, you give it to the city, give it to the federal government, and then we've been blessed to figure out a way to return that money to those who are interested in trying to get financing on that. Now, we also did compete there was a new program that came out through HUD, known as the Cumulative Block Grant Funds from HUD, and we competed on that, put an application in, and we were awarded $1.3 million to set up a new revolving loan fund utilizing CDBG money. Now, both of these programs I mentioned, the Atlanta Cares Revolving Loan Fund and Atlanta Recovery Loan Fund, have a max of $100,000. And those funds can be used to assist you. And let me say this first. It's like a 1-2 punch. Those of you in the city of Atlanta can apply for the Resurgence Grant Fund, get that money. I think it's going to be available to you of those who get awarded that money sometime in like November, December-ish. But in the meantime, you can also apply for these low interest loans. When I say low interest loan, people, I'm talking about 1 to 3% fixed rate. Months that we are deferring our payments now. Anybody that applies for financing, we are waiving our application fee, which is normally $100 until March of 2021. If you apply for financing and get approved for financing from Invest Atlanta, your first payment is due back to us in March of 2021. So here you are, you apply for the grant money, you got that coming down the pipeline. This year, you apply for one of our loan programs. You know, you can apply it. No, there's no application fee. You can get the money, close on the loan, get the funds out, use the funds. Don't have to worry about paying us back until March of 2021. We want to be at the forefront of giving you that head start. It's been said that when you're in a mile race and your opponent is already at the half mile mark, the only way you can catch that opponent is to have a relay team. So we want to be your relay team to get you up to where you need to be. And people often ask me, Lonnie, how did you have the foresight to be able to put together these programs like this? I said, well, today, I said, well, I started doing this really back in the late 70s and the 80s under Maynard Jackson's administration. When I saw what could happen, to me, though the pandemic is definitely a worldwide pandemic, to me, in Atlanta and other cities around the country, even back in the 80s, there was a pandemic for a lot of African-American minority businesses, women-owned businesses. You know, doors were closed, doors were not open. So we started even back then to lay the foundation. What works in a pandemic right now in 2020 is the same thing that worked back in the 80s by us having these low interest loans at 3%, 7%. At one time during the 80s, the prime rate plus 3 or 4 points was like people paying 22% interest rate, 22%. Back in that time, you got a loan for 15%. You were just so happy. I can't believe it. I got 15% interest rate loan. God bless you, you know. And so today, we're just continuing a trend that we've been doing this for over 40 years and assisting businesses in the city of Atlanta. And the application process is not that complicated. I also want to invite people to go to all the programs we've got. I've got 9 different programs, including the 2 new ones that are going to be launched in September. We've got 11 different programs. You know, I don't care what level you are, if you're a startup operation, you're going to some type of training from a technical assistance operator, and you're in a position where you're trying to grow and expand your business, we can help you with that. If you want to grow your business, if you want to be able to acquire commercial property, one of the main things I've been seeing right now is happening is that certain parts of our community, we're losing control of the real estate. And we have several programs here at Invest Atlanta that can help you gain that footage back. To leverage what's known as SB 504 debenture, where that government provides you financing for acquisition of commercial property and renovation of that property and equipment. And we work in terms of providing you with information that can assist you to reach your goals by telling you exactly what needs to happen, what you need to do, which program makes more sense for you that allow you to reach your goals. And that's part of what we've been doing for a number of years, and we want to continue to do that.
So finishing what you start, number one.
Right.
For most this grant, what kind of information are they asking? Because some people have no clue. And what kind of paperwork, just even with these loans, should people be prepared to bring? I know business licenses is one of those things from the city, but some people have asked if they started their business in January and then COVID hit and they didn't get their business, but they were already incorporated, what to do?
Yeah, I think most of the programs, including our loan programs, you know, as relates to the COVID-19 situation, requires you to have been in business, I'd say by March of 2019, with a City of Atlanta business license, especially with the grant program. That's one of the requirements. But it's so much. But it is so much involved, and I could spend another 2 hours talking about it. So I want to encourage people to do this. Number one, go to the website, which is www.investatlanta.com. As soon as the site comes up, you'll see to the right how you can learn more about and apply for financing for the Resurgence Grant Fund. You want to go into that frequently asked questions. It answers all the questions you could think about. I mean, you'll see things on that sheet. You say, oh, I didn't know about that. but it's so informative. And we have a team of people, Munson. We have a team of people who are working on this application process up front, evaluating your application, looking at it, and listening and seeing what you're submitting to make sure everything is accurate and what we need to have to be moved forward with. So there's a whole team of people to answer those questions, and there's also information available on the site to kind of direct you to another website that can give you more information on the whole program as it relates to the grant funds are being available to you. Now, as it relates to the loan programs, standard things. Number one, if you have to have a business plan, you should be able to give us historical tax returns on your business, on you personally, and give us an idea about what you want to use the funds for. So they require you to give us documentation if you're asking for money to buy building, if you're asking for money for equipment, furniture, fixtures, inventory, working capital. We want you to give backup documentation on cost estimates associated with all of that. Especially on the renovation side, you should have taken the time to make contact with at least 2 contractors and select the one you want to use. You should make sure that contractor is licensed. I can never underscore that, because the worst thing you could do is get someone who you thought was good, and it comes time to get a permit. It's permit. I don't have that, and that's the problem. Or if the inspector happens to be coming through your area where you are, and just kind of walk in there because he didn't know, he or she didn't know that you were doing anything there, and come to find out you renovating the spot and you don't even have a permit. Everything is shut down. The worst thing can happen though is you get someone who does the work for you at your facility, and come to find out that everything the person did was wrong. And when a permit guy does come in there, they make you rip up everything and start all over again. And of course, all your money's gone at that point. So the other thing, of course, is you want to, like I said earlier, you want to finish what you start, but you want to start right. If you start right, you will finish right.
So start right, finish right, but more than anything, go and actually get the questions answered that are already there. It's pretty much question and answer.
It is so easy. In fact, one guy called me last week. He said, "Lonnie, I went to that site, and he told me to go to that site for the grant, but I didn't know. There's so much stuff I got to do, And then he called me back in 2 days. He said, "Lonnie, you're right. I didn't know it was that easy. I thought it was going to be real hard. I just pushed the submit button, Lonnie. I'm in the mix." So sometimes you have to just be aware of what your situation is, do what's necessary, and don't talk yourself out of an opportunity. Yeah. It's us, Invest Atlanta, trying to give you back your own money. That's where you should look at it.
Yeah. And you guys got support there for people so they can call, even if they need.
We got a team. We got like 10 to 15 people working on this.
Right.
It was a little bit different. We had other fund launch, but this one we have a 12 team people, well coordinated, willing to call you back, email you back, answer any questions you might have to kind of move forward. So don't be intimidated by what you see in terms of a lot of information being required, but it's broken down in bits of things, bites and that sort of thing to make it an easier process for you to deal with. And I look forward to seeing everybody that's listening to this conversation with us today to apply for financing. I got some goals too with other programs as well. One of my programs, the one that's we got 1.1 million, we got basically about 10 months to move all that money. So we're looking for some good candidates, and one thing about us is that we work with you. So if you have any questions at all, feel free to give us a call. I'm gonna leave my number. You can give me a call directly at 404-614-8292. That's my direct number.
Super. Well, Lonnie, much respect for all that you give to this community. You're a true servant of Atlanta, even though you're by way of Chicago.
Yeah, that's true. I claim Atlanta. I've been here for so long. I claim Atlanta now.
I know you. All right. Much love and respect to you, Lonnie.
Likewise to you, Munson. Keep doing what you're doing. The great things you've been doing over these many years, man.
Thank you so much.
You're in the forefront of what you do.
Thank you. For all of you, this has been a seat at the table. Thanks to Invest Atlanta. Don't forget, we got the RIDE conference coming up on 25th and 26th of September. Lonnie will have to be there. We will be making a special presentation to Lonnie there. So we look forward to you. Lonnie, thanks for coming again. And for all of you, you do not have to be in the struggle, the streets, but you do have to be in the struggle. So you do not have to be in the streets, but you do have to be in the struggle. This is Munson Steve for A Seat at the Table. We'll see you again tonight. Good night. Thanks, Lonnie.
Thank you, Munson. Appreciate it.
We'll see. I'll call you. I'll check on you. I know Randy is applying for that grant, and I think Melinda too. She has to run down and grab a business license. Say get back this week.
Okay. Yeah, so make sure they push the submit button.
I will make sure that they all.
Tell them, don't just get started, finish it.
I will definitely tell them that for sure. Thanks so much, Lonnie.
Appreciate you, Munson.
Thank you, brother.
Thank
Peace.
you, man. All right.